Keep it down there, sir.
I'm trying to get it open before we have to meet.
I'm just checking for quorum purposes, what board members, if any, do we have online?
This is Jason Downing.
We can hear you, Jason.
Everybody heard you.
We heard you across the
Jason, thank you very much for joining us. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Thank you, everybody, for being here. This is the State Board of Education meeting for Thursday, September 30th. I'd like to, before we kick things off, I'd like to go ahead and introduce a few of our special guests, one of which we're going to hear from a little bit later on, John McFarland, Colquitt County High School. John, where are you? John, thank you very much for being here today. Megan Swingle, Decoding Dyslexia, Georgia. Megan, thank you for being here today. Tom Kobala, Mercer University. Tom, thank you very much. Is it Shauna Owens? Shauna Owens. Okay. Tim Hobbs with Colquitt County Schools. Hello, Tim. Nice to meet you earlier. Angela Palm, our good friend from the Georgia School Board Association. Thank you very much, Angela, for being here. Buddy Costley with Gale. Buddy, enjoyed our conversation yesterday. Thank you so much. Is this Joseph Bernie? Is that it? O'Hara. Okay, Joseph, thank you very much for being here.
The unforgettable,
the
undeniable,
Jody Barra.
the legendary, infamous, all the above.
And then we have Bruce, is it Baggett with Gwinnett College? All right, thank you all very much for being here. We really appreciate your participation in our State Board of Education meeting.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Chairman, we also have Shannon Dowdy.
Ellen.
I was the one that you thought was Shauna Owens.
Okay.
She's not recent.
Got it. All right, thank you very much, Sean, for being here. All right, Mike, I believe, did you have somebody who was going to speak? Okay. All right, just
signed up.
in just a minute. What I'd like to do now, though, is going to go ahead and kick off our inspirations today, and we have two outstanding CTAE educators from the Colquitt County school system that are here with us today. With our inspiration, we have Tim Hobbs, who I mentioned earlier today. He's been serving as the CTAE director for Colquitt County Schools in Moultrie, Georgia for the past 6 years. Previously, he was the Metals Technology Instructor and Skills USA Advisor for 17 years at Colquitt County High School. Prior to entering the education career field, Mr. Hobbs spent several years in the welding industry as well as working as a machinist. Tim, thank you very much. John McFarland is also here with us. He is the dual enrollment construction teacher from Southern Regional Technical College in Moultrie. He teaches high school construction courses in Colquitt County High School's construction lab. Mr. McFarland worked in the construction industry and owned his own business building houses prior to teaching high school students. CTA students at Colquitt County High School enjoy the instruction and hands-on skill training taught by Mr. McFarland, as well as numerous opportunities provided by Mr. Hobbs throughout the CTAE program at Colquitt High School. In addition to enjoying the construction class, this construction class is making a difference for children who are in the foster care system. I'm confident that you will find their story to be inspiring. Tim and John, if you would join us up here at the lectern and share some comments with us, we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you for this opportunity. It's always great to be able to brag about the things that are going on in your own home for a living. And so this is a great opportunity to share about one of the programs and some of the things that are going on. And I'm not going to take a lot of time to stand here because I really want you to hear what Mr. McFarland and his group are doing for these 5 years. But I think it's from the support that we get from this group as well as our CTA staff here at DOE to be able to have the freedom to do what we do. And I think what you'll hear from this morning is the fact that our students are learning the skills that they need to be proficient and ready to go into the industry. But the other things that they learn is the responsibility back to the community and people around us. We have, in the last few years, and I think Perkins 5 kind of pushed us a little bit to get a little more out there, but we have developed a lot of really strong relationships with our community and our businesses. And this is pushing our kids to be better and more prepared, and the professionals that they need to be when they enter the workforce. So I want to thank you again for this opportunity to be here. We would also like to invite you, anytime you're in South Georgia, please stop by. We would love to show off our programs. So without any further, I'll turn this over.
Thank you, Mr. Hobbs. Good morning. My name is John McFarland. I'm the dual enrolled instructor with Southern Regional Technical College. I teach at Cobb County High School. I'm here today to present to you a wonderful inspiration community project my students are still working on today and started on their own. Next slide, please. So this is how it got started. 2019, the local DFACS and the Forgotten Initiative contacted me about a local need for foster care children. They were in need of something to call their own. They needed a bed. The Forgotten Initiative is a non-profit organization that helps foster care children with materials they need entering into the system and leaving the system. The Forgotten Initiative was started in Moultrie by the Squash family in 2015 and are still working hard today to supply foster care children with their needs. So many of us never know what some of these foster kids go through. One of the DFACS teams told me a story one afternoon where a young girl, 6 years old, family got into some trouble one night and was going to be put away for a while. They contacted the aunt to see if she could take care of her for a while or could potentially adopt her. The aunt was not physically able to adopt her, so DFACS started finding the 6-year-old girl a home, along with the Forgotten Initiative, started collecting supplies and clothes and things that she needed. So very quickly, they contacted me and we got to work. Next slide, please. So in 2019, they contacted me about my students building beds. Before I could tell them yes, I told them I had to make sure my students were on board. So my 11th grade dual enrollment Part 1 class, 20 students, were ready to go to work and get back to their community along with learning a new skill. I told them this was a project that I would not be working on, but I would oversee it, but I would need a project manager and plenty of skilled workers, just like in the industry, for them to make this a successful project. It didn't take long before a young lady by the name of Alexis Garcia stepped up. She wanted to do something in construction management one day and would also like to get back to her community. Today, Alexis is running a construction crew, building metal buildings, and traveling around South Georgia. Next slide, please. So we started figuring the cost of each bed, along with a sketch for toddler beds with rails, twin beds, bunk beds, and twin overfloods. The students chose a bed they wanted to work on and were divided into groups to focus on that type of bed. Alexis was in charge every day of making sure 19 teenage boys stayed on task and got the job done for her satisfaction. Let's just say she had her hands full.
Could she teach a class on that?
She can now. Next slide, please. Before COVID hit and the class graduated, they completed a total of 8 beds. 3 toddler beds, 4 bunk beds, and 2 twin overfull beds. Next slide, please. So now that we have started a new school year, we have built 3 beds of each. We've also tried something new this year, with team leaders for each bed, and are working to promote a manager now. Next slide, please. I would like to thank you for your time today, and would like to thank a few other people who helped make this a success. I would like to thank Mr. Glass and his wonderful team at Southern Regional Technical College for the opportunity to train and inspire my students to get back. Also, I would like to thank Cobb County High School and to all the students there who put in the hard work to make this a community project a success. Thank you to DFACS and the Forgotten Initiative for coming to my students and giving them the opportunity to help with this huge project to make a difference in a child's life. Thanks to the local business of Cobb County for your help and your support. And also, thank you, Lauren, for helping me put this speech and PowerPoint together. Thank y'all.
much. Does anybody have any questions for Tim or John?
I would just like to say that you hit on very close to my heart. I was CTAE when I was with the school systems. I am the chair for my local DFACS board, and I'm on the Region 1 Advisory Board for DFACS. And what your children have provided to others, these other children, is amazing, but what they have learned through their heart will take them far. And I thank you for putting Alexis in charge of the 19 boys and getting this done.
I'm curious to know, did all of this take place at Colquitt County High School, or was it offsite?
All the way to my construction happened at the high school.
Very nice. You guys have an absolutely gorgeous facility down there.
Very
I
proud
had
of
a
it.
chance to visit when I was going through Leadership Georgia. You guys keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Yeah, we told her to.
I just have to say that, dittos to what, Fenna said, but also, thank you for your leadership and your heart and willing to take that on, because it is about kids that, and then you gave an opportunity for so many other kids to feel great about what they're doing in the service, not only in their community, but in their schools. That's a turnaround moment that they'll use in their life to give back to someone. And the collaboration that took place with all of that, that is what leadership does. They pull it together and collaborate and move forward and make great changes for kids. Thank you, and for what you've done. Thank you for your service too.
Well, it's not just those kids that did this. One, you have a great facility. I've had the opportunity to be there and tour it before, and what y'all have down there is top notch. Be honored to send one of my children through that program. But what they're doing, my mom, her sister, and her brother spent much of their time growing up not far from there in Georgia Baptist Children's Home. She's lived with me now for the last 3 years, and I've gotten a lot of stories about when she was there, things like this that people did for her. So not only are these kids gonna remember what they did for them, those kids are gonna remember what somebody did for the helping hand that somebody gave them. And that's a life lesson that they'll never forget, both of them. So.
Great. Well, Tim and John, thank you very much for being here. Really,
Just a couple questions. I'm just kind of curious with this, when DFACS, I guess they reach out and you have to know that this is built for a specific child, or maybe you have a bunk bed for a couple of kids. What's kind of the turnaround with that? I mean, of course, construction and I guess maybe are y'all blocked down there, or 6, 7 period day? Okay, so I'm just trying to think of what, you get the order, how long does it take to?
There's a lot of logistics behind it. I mean, they've done got so fancy now beyond my means. They've got a website, and the DFACS puts in a need. They basically contact me, say I need this bed. I give the kids 14 days to turn it around.
Okay, all right, so that's a pretty quick turnaround. And of course, being with foster kids, I mean, I'm looking, do the beds, do they travel with the kids, or?
The bed will be theirs forever.
Okay, very good.
well, Tim and John, thank you very much. Really appreciate your inspiring comments. And then also I needed to mention Dr. Barbara Wall, who's here, heads up CTA programs for the state of Georgia. Thank you, Barbara, for being here. And I also saw Donovan Head arrive from Governor's Office of Student Achievement. Thank you for being here. We have a special guest here as well. And that special guest is now the new ex officio member of the State Board of Education. Her name is Sherry Dennis, and she is the reigning Teacher of the Year for the state of Georgia. And I'm going to turn this over to Superintendent Woods.
Again, very excited to have Ms. Dennis aboard with us. Her life is going to be quite busy this upcoming year, as it is with all Teacher of the Year. But Ms. Dennis, she's an English teacher, English as a second language, or what we refer to as ESOL. Teacher at, is it Hess, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, Hess K-8 School in Savannah, Chatham County Public Schools. Of course, she serves as our 2022 Georgia Teacher of the Year, and as Chairman Sweeney mentioned, as an ex officio member of the State Board. We look forward to working with Ms. Dennis to elevate the teaching profession and definitely public education in our state. And so I'm not going to just take your wind and just but I'm going to let you share and tell us a little bit about yourself and what it's like to be Teacher of the Year, ever so briefly as it is, but it's going to be a whirlwind year, so.
Yes, thank you so much, Superintendent Woods. Thank you so much for having me. It is wonderful to be here. I want to thank everyone on behalf of all the teachers in the state for giving us this opportunity to be on the school board and to share the voice of teachers and of students and of families, and to give our perspective and lend a hand with what is happening in education in the state. Superintendent Woods just asked me to share a little bit about myself. I grew up in Chattanooga, Tennessee, so not too far from here. I used to come to Atlanta a lot. And went to Georgetown University, where I majored in Japanese language. And then I went to Stanford University and got a master's in East Asian Studies. My intention was to be a Japanese language teacher, but those jobs are very few and far between. And so I kind of had to shift and pivot for a while. I ended up in advertising, working for some global ad agencies, Saatchi & Saatchi and DDB Needham, working in account management. And then I took time off to raise my son close to family who had moved to Savannah. And once he was in kindergarten, I thought to myself, I wanted to be a teacher a long time ago, and this is my chance. And so I went to Armstrong, now Georgia Southern, got my Master's of Arts in Teaching, started in 3rd grade and did that for about 7.5 years. And since then, I've moved into ESOL, gotten my EDS from Teacher Leadership at Mercer University, and it's fantastic to be here. I really appreciate this opportunity again to represent all the teachers. Yesterday was absolutely fascinating. I've got notes everywhere. Just watching this happen from 30,000 feet versus my classroom has been very eye-opening, and I really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Where are you from again? Oh, that's right, District 1, that's right, I'm sorry. I didn't know if y'all knew where she was from, so I didn't want to.
I just like the
Got
Georgia
that ocean
Southern
beside
part.
it, you know, it's a great place.
Don't worry, we won't hold that.
But she was raised near where mine is.
But she went to Georgia Southern.
So everybody's getting a.
Would anybody else like to claim a little bit?
Glad to have you aboard.
Yeah.
Now, anyway, Sherry, thank you very much for those words. It's great to have you here, and we look forward to working with you. Mike, Mr. Long, I believe you had somebody, is that person here for the hearing speaking, or is that for a separate matter?
It's for a hearing.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and move it.
Yeah, on the item.
Okay, perfect. So at this moment, we'll now move into the public hearing for the State Board of Education Rule 160-4-2-.32, the Student Support Team. And we have one speaker signed up, that's Megan Swingle.
The pledge.
Thank you very much, appreciate that.
Matter of fact, you will probably be able to lead us.
Would
in
you
that.
please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Sure. I'm going to have Ms. Kennemore lead us in a invocation.
This is dangerous for these down. We can knock ourselves out over here.
Be flexible to sit on this side.
Yeah.
Let us pray. Lord God, we thank you for another day that you've given us. We thank you, Lord, for all of the educators in this state. We ask you, Lord, that you touch our hearts on the spirit, that we may look upon what is good for the children of this great state. What is good that will glorify you. Lord, help us to be able to come together as one, as we look for different avenues and remedies for the education bills that are going on across the state. We ask you, Lord, to just intervene on behalf of everyone with this COVID-19. Help us, Lord, to be able to have faith and to know that you will bring us through. And Father, thank you for each person that is represented here today. May you bless them and keep them, and as they leave this place and go back to their offices or their homes, continue to protect and keep them as they travel, knowing that you are faithful and able to do all things well. We give you praise and glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ms. Kennemore. and appreciate the heads up on what I missed.
We've all sat there.
Important to set the stage appropriately. Thank you.
Joy's here.
What's that? And then we had Ms. Joy Hawkins join us as well from the Governor's Office of Student Achievement. Thank you very much for being here today. All right, we're going to move into the public hearing portion of our meeting, and this is for the State Board of Education Rule 160-4-2-.32, the student support team. And I believe we have one speaker today, and that is Megan Swingle. So Megan, if you would step up to the podium, and then you've got 3 minutes.
She's got 2 minutes and 21 seconds.
Thank you, because I only planned for 2, and I was gonna go a little over. So, hello, I'm Megan Swingle. I'm a parent volunteer and the communications chair for Decoding Dyslexia Georgia, and I want to talk briefly today about Sb48, the Dyslexia Law, and its screening rule, which has been tabled for further review. First, on behalf of Decoding Dyslexia Georgia, we want to thank you for the opportunity to collaborate and provide feedback on this rule and its guidance for dyslexia screening over the past 6 months. We look forward to continuing to working with you and all parties involved to ensure that when all is said and done, the rule and its guidance will help schools identify and appropriately intervene with students who have dyslexia and other associated learning differences earlier in our children's educational careers. My son is a thriving 5th grader now, but as a kindergartner, the screening for dyslexia that's a part of Sb48 would have made a world of difference in our lives. I saw the red flags, and I emailed and called teachers, well-meaning, wonderful teachers. I asked about the possibility of his having dyslexia, but again and again, I was told that my son just needed to focus, buckle down, and that we shouldn't jump the gun on evaluating him for dyslexia. This is not just my story. I want to assure you of that. This is the story of almost every single parent that I have met who has a child with a brilliant dyslexic mind. Despite every red flag that was there, I was told to just give it time. I didn't wait long, and I wish I hadn't waited at all. I made a direct parent referral for evaluation when my son was in the 1st grade. We cannot wait for our children to fail before we start the intervention process. We look forward to continuing to work diligently and expediently with all of you to make this rule and guidance as strong as possible, as soon as possible, because our children cannot wait. October is Dyslexia Awareness Month, and since tomorrow is October 1st, I just wanted to introduce everyone to a few Georgia students with dyslexia. These children are the reason we at Decoding Dyslexia Georgia do what we do as unpaid parent advocates, because every child deserves the chance to learn to read. This is Soul. Her favorite book series is Ada Twist, Scientist. This is Adrian. He loves baking, and his favorite subjects are math and science. And this is the reason I'm here, and for all of our kids who have dyslexia in the state. This is my son, Rike. He's 10 years old. I've never beaten him in chess, and he routinely beats my father in chess, who's a chemical engineer from the University of Washington and one of the smartest people I know. He also told me this morning to not be nervous about speaking in front of you all, because everybody gets nervous sometimes. Our children's potential has no bounds. We have to continue to do whatever it takes to improve the literacy outcomes for all of the children in this state, because in doing so, we can literally save lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Megan. Understanding if there are no speakers, the hearing is now closed. Unless anybody has any further comments. Thank you. Now we are going to move to the portion of the meeting where we will be building our agenda. This is the committee of the whole. First, I will call on Chairman of the Budget Committee, Jason Downey, and or Mike as Vice Chairman. I'm not sure who's presenting the Budget Committee items today.
All right, on behalf of the Budget Committee, we'd like to submit all items for action and consent.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? All right, without objection, all those items will be moved to the consent agenda. Now we'll turn over to Rules Committee and Ms. Petty.
Yes,
Is Butch online? Dr. Mosley? Dr. Mosley is not online. Ms. Petty?
item 1 was pulled for further consideration. Items 2 through 5 moved to consent agenda.
All right, Ms. Kennemore.
Make a recommendation to move the following to the consent agenda. Individual student waivers, minutes of the August 25th, 26th, 2021 State Board meeting, minutes of the August 25th, 2021 executive session meeting, September 2021 personnel report. I also recommend 1 legal appeal for a separate vote.
Are there any questions or comments with regard to Ms. Kennemore's report? Okay. Dr. DeJarnett is not here right now, but it was my understanding from the Flexibility and Charter Schools Committee items that items number 1 and 2 were to move to the consent agenda. Is everyone in agreement? All right, so we'll move items 1 and 2 from the District Flexibility and Charter Schools Committee to the consent agenda. Mr. Long, I'm not aware of any State Schools Committee items. All right, thank you, and that was an amazing report that we did here yesterday with regard to the amazing strides that the state schools are making, specifically with regard to sign language and other, I mean, she covered so much in such a brief period of time. It was a very, very inspiring story. All right, are there any other items? We have an item for information. You know, that's nothing there. Minutes we've already talked about. Perfect. We're going to go ahead and recess for just a few minutes. If you will give us, let's recess for 10 minutes, be back here at 9:40 for the building of the agenda, and we'll take it from there. Thank you very much. All right, everybody, we're reconvened, and Superintendent Woods, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to you for the superintendent's report to the board.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have just a couple of reports today, but today we're kind of introducing one of our newest members to the DO team, Dr. Bronwyn Reagan Martin. Kind of excited about her new role and what this means for us. You know, for myself, coming from South Georgia, actually living for a time in Southwest Georgia when my dad was in the military, and then of course working for Irwin County for 22 years. So I kind of, you know, understand a little bit of what that looks like and what you know, some of the challenges that are unique to that part of our state. But you know, we've done a lot at the DOE to focus on rural Georgia and increasing our outcomes. You know, for this group of students, today marks you know, us pushing a commitment to the next level. We created a new office at DOE, the Office of Rural Education and Innovation, to bring really a more direct focus on our rural districts and lead transformational change for students. It's hoped that the work that we'll begin will actually be a prototype, something we can replicate throughout the state. Again, most of Georgia is, I appreciate that. I have my peppermint with me. I probably need a peppermint infusion of some sort. But you know, I think that with this is, you know, something we do hope to replicate. You know, really, I think one of the things we look at is bringing Dr. Martin on board. You know, it's something that, you know, trying to look and find the best throughout the state to lead. And I firmly believe that. I've got to know her over the years as superintendent of Early County, and appreciate her. You know, she's been president of her local RESA, president of the Georgia School Superintendent Association, again, and a long-time leader in her community. So even though she doesn't start officially till tomorrow, so we have to finish out the month, but we've gotten a lot of free time off of her, and she was excited about this opportunity. I think yesterday you saw some of the people that she is hiring, just a top-notch team. So I'm excited about the opportunity and what she brings to us as far as experience and really success. So Dr. Martin, I'm just going to turn it over to you so I can quit talking for a minute.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm so glad to be here and so excited about this opportunity. If you know me at all, I've been down in Early County as superintendent for the last 8 years, and I've told my folks that our goal is simple. We just want to change the world. And so that's my goal today. And now we'll change it for rural Georgia. So very excited about everything we can do. I do have a great team coming on board. If you know who they are all leaders in their districts. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to change the world for rural Georgia. We're going to make sure they have the resources they need as much as we can possibly get to them and change the lives of students. And I know that's your goal as well. So very excited, and thank you for the opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for me?
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Excited about it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Martin. Again, appreciate that. And again, as I said, I'm excited about the opportunity here, and especially in the southwest part of the state. Definitely, you know, trying to get that group of folks, you know, the support they need and some of the challenges they face throughout the state. So we're looking forward. Next, I'd like to bring forth Mr. Pat Schofield. Again, you'll see, I think, that on your placemats there, we're looking at National School Safety Week, you know, upcoming, and of course October is, you know, kind of that designation as an individual who has driven a school bus and still has my CDL. You know, I appreciate the challenges that are there, and you know what this means. But bus safety is extremely important. You know, I can't tell you that, you know, that anytime you have a bus and you have kids moving on and off that bus, there's a potential of some danger there. And it's extremely important that every individual who is driving and on the road, that they understand what the responsibility is when they see that bus. Because it is, like that, it's carrying our most precious cargo, to say the least. And so Pat, I'm gonna let you kind of take off and, kind of share, some pretty exciting news here, so.
Superintendent Woods, thank you for the opportunity to speak and before, and I certainly appreciate the opportunity to come before you all to recognize the good work of students across the state. And this relates to pupil transportation and the fact of educating others. And it's an education initiative. It's a way to present it to our students in different ways. We are approaching, October is tomorrow, I guess. Time's flying by us, but October is always, School Bus Safety Week is always the third week in October, so the 18th through the 22nd. We will be kind of recognizing our school bus drivers and certainly putting an emphasis on school bus safety. Do Driver Appreciation Week during that time. I'll reiterate Superintendent Wood's comments. I've driven a school bus, and it looks something like it's a very, easy. It's a very difficult task. It takes focus of drivers. It takes training our students on correct methods to do. Your all's experience on the board, if some can recall, Georgia did not have a great reputation in pupil transportation 10 or 15 years ago. We led the nation in school bus fatalities and school bus stops. It's not something we were proud of. It was an initiative in 2012 to change, and we went to work. I say work. Our staff at that time went to work. Our transportation directors at the local level went to work at that time with a focus. And since that time, that number has certainly diminished significantly. And with 0 fatalities this past year, we're very proud of the efforts of our transportation staff. Of course, safety is our #1 priority. School bus drivers and students have to focus on safety every day. Our Georgia Association for Pupil Transportation sponsors our annual school bus safety poster contest. I want to share some of our state winners before we recognize our guest here today. But as we do that, as we look across the state, and we have 4 divisions that our state association provides a little funding for, a little initiative for a little prize money on the side. That's irrelevant, but it does help the initiative a little bit. So we had a winner out of Montgomery County in our Division 1. Division 2, we had a student from Fulton County. As you can see those posters. Division 3 was another student out of Gwinnett County. And of course, our guest today will be this young lady, but she won Division 4 with this poster. So we'll come back to that thought in just a second. But other winners, as we look at the artwork across the state, we had winners of Fulton and DeKalb, students represented. Had some students in Division 2 from Social Circle and also DeKalb. Houston County was represented in Division 3, along with Fulton. Then we had some from Henry and Clayton in Division 4. We're extremely proud of our participation in this effort every year. Last year was certainly a different year. We can say that. It was certainly different for us. The participation was down a little bit because of closures and reopening of schools, but as we moved this to a March event versus an October event, it was a little bit of a challenge, but we still had a great number of participation. About 60 school districts across the state participated and submitted posters to be part of this judging. So we were extremely proud of that. This year's theme, as you can see, was Be Safe, Know the Danger Zone. That danger zone is a 12-foot area around that school bus that students need to know if they're in that danger zone, to stay out of that danger zone, to leave that danger zone immediately as they enter a bus and exit a bus. Our drivers need to be conscious of that as well. We're so proud today to have the opportunity to recognize, I'm going to call her Miss Pham. She has a difficult first name. Stand up. Each year, we submit our 4 state winners to a national competition. And I have to commend our staff for taking those efforts and submitting all of that. It takes a lot of effort on our part as well. But we submitted those posters. we found out mid-August, of course, everything was kind of on delayed processes this year, but we found out around August 16th, if I remember the date when I got the official notice, that that Miss Pham, our student at Northbrook Middle School in Gwinnett County, won the national school bus poster contest.
From where?
Your county had to do that. But we were just so proud to have what an honor for our kids out of Georgia to be recognized at this level. You will see that part of that recognition is for it to be recognized on our advertisement. There you go, for National School Bus Safety Week. And that is, that's given to every state across the United States and distributed to local schools. And we're going to be distributing these, but we're picking them up today, so we're going to be distributing them to our schools as well to be posted in our schools and in our transportation department. So today we recognize Ms. Pham. She's got her dad with her. Is that correct? The dad will be with her. We also have her teacher, Ms. Boston, with her, and we appreciate her efforts to encourage this. Her principal, Dr. Brooks Baggett, is attending today, and also the Fine Arts Director with Gwinnett County Schools, Mr. David DeBose, in the back with us as well. So we are just extremely proud to have them. We had some logistical problems getting them here. They were a little late in traffic, but we didn't recognize them earlier as a visitor, but they have made it. We want to say that this is sponsored by the American School Bus Council, along with the NAPT, along with NASDIPS, which is our State Directors Association, along with our three big manufacturers, Bluebird, Thomas, and IC. They're kind of the sponsors of this contest and the initiatives that are going forward with educating through our poster contest. Georgia schools systems, with the support of our state association and our Department of Ed, continue to show commitment to providing safe, effective, and efficient transportation for the more than 1 million students. We transport over 1 million each day, using about 14,500 buses. Of course, that changes every year now, but we still encourage our transportation departments to be safe and efficient. Superintendent Woods, any other comments from there?
Well, again, congratulations. I think that, especially with awards like this, I'm a big supporter of the arts. So, incorporating that into this, so my congratulations on that, and to everyone for Gwinnett County. Quite an honor, just to become a state winner, but now to say you are a national winner. Like I said, not too many people across the nation can have that bragging right. So for us as the state, we're going to just take that and run with that and say congratulations. So, as state superintendent, I'm very excited with that. But I do want to just say, to all the bus drivers and stuff, last year was crazy. To be honest, my brother-in-law was actually a bus driver in Tift County, so you kind of hear the stories that goes on. So, these individuals, day in and day out, and I know that across the state, we have a shortage of bus drivers, which we deal with, but these people, they get up early, and sometimes they stay late to pick up these students and deliver them back home. It's an important job, and I can tell you there's a lot of things that goes through, whether you're riding in the dirt roads of South Georgia or up here in metro Atlanta. It's a challenge, and so I want to thank them. I know one of the things we do as well is that we do recognize districts across the state. We did come up with an award, several years ago to recognize the work that these individuals do, and they do a great job. So I do want to say thank you. I don't know, I guess I am curious, how do you pronounce your first name? Gwen, okay, all right, well, so again, we do that, so Gwen Pham, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Again, just congratulations on that. I know we've talked with Mr. Schofield. I look forward to getting our copy so that we can display it up here up here in the office area to let people know we have a first place winner, but we have a national winner, but it is a great piece of artwork. So thank you and congratulations on that. So,
Certainly is. Superintendent Woods, we would like to present this to Gwen
okay.
and her family and staff. Thank you all. That's yours.
Jim?
Pat,
Mr. Schofield?
I was just gonna say one thing. Thank you for the county coming to support her. It really means a lot. Superintendent, the rest of you guys, thank y'all so much for coming to support.
Thank you. I want to share that Wen's amazing things puts all those stick figure drawings I had to shame. But I do have a question, and this has to do with regard to you know, cameras on buses, and I'm talking about stop sign cameras, and what kind of success are you seeing with those? I know some districts have implemented those, and I also know there were some challenges, I'll call it, with jurisdictions regarding citations that's kind of being worked out. So what's the latest on that?
Yeah, our stop arm camera use on school buses began back in 2013 with some legislation actually out of Cobb County. There was an incident that kind of initiated that threshold. We don't collect that data. I can say across the state, many of our larger districts are outfitting their buses with stop arm cameras. And there's a revenue stream that goes along with that. Camera companies pretty much in larger systems take care of the work behind the scenes and evaluate whether it's an actual stop arm runner or not, and evaluate the through the probate judges or through the court systems local in the local districts. It's just different for every district. So when you say whether it's success or not, whether it's cutting back on our number of stop arm runners across the state, we certainly hope that's the initiative and it reduces those numbers. But it's hard to evaluate. With the past 2 years, we've not been able to do our one-day stop arm survey due to the pandemic and just the challenges of people transportation. But we intend to do that in the spring, bringing that back.
I always found it shocking that the quantity of stop arm violations is astounding.
Yeah, our one-day count's over 8,000 stop arm runners in a day. It's an enormous number. If we do that across the country, it's even larger, but just in our state alone, number of stop arm runners that are reported to us on a one-day survey, with about 165 districts reporting in, it's huge.
In most counties, you know, the school bus transportation is the single largest transportation system within the county. And you referenced Cobb County, and I was a board member there, but they cite often that the buses there travel over 86,000 miles daily on county roads. And you think about that level of volume as far as mileage is concerned, and how many stops and starts and students getting on and off, and then this ridiculous count with regard to these violations is astounding, and anything that we can do to stop it. I also know that there was a change in the law with regard to medians and trying to clarify things. Has that been helping at all?
We think the law changed in 18 or 19. We had a change in the law and then as Governor Kemp came on board, the law was changed back to include a multi-lane road without a median. All traffic must stop in both directions unless there is a median or grass divider. So we believe it's more clear. There's always going to be some confusion on our roads. The one single thing that we focused on in pupil transportation was not to allow students to cross multi-lane roads. So if it's more than two lanes of traffic, we insinuated to our staff, our transportation directors across the state, to where they can, we said don't. do right side pickups. Don't allow students to cross more than 2 lanes of traffic. So we believe that initiative has maybe helped some of that. Many of our stop sign runners are on multi-lane roads, or we would assume that's the case. If you talk in a metro area where it's a 5, 6 multi-lanes on many of our roads, not a lot of drops on those roads, but if it does, sometimes that traffic will not stop.
And the last question I had is, does your organization coordinate with, DOT, for example, with regard to, license and training, and so forth, so testing when people are taking these tests to increase awareness?
We train our bus drivers. We have a certified driver instructor training where we train our driver instructors. Actually, there's gonna be some new initiatives coming up in February that's rolling out, so you'll see those in maybe the next few board meetings. But we developed that curriculum, and our staff's been working very hard on those initiatives in the last 6, 8 months. So we've got the new curriculum coming out, matching up with federal initiative, FMCSA's initiatives. But we work with DDS. So DDS is a licensing agency. And so we train our drivers on all the Pacific. So we've always had a 12-6-6 model. 12 hours of classroom training, 6 hours behind the wheel without students, 6 with students at a minimum. And we're initiating that model where we're going to keep the model the same. The training itself is probably going to take more than 12 hours. It's done thoroughly, and we're going to encourage our driver instructors to make sure there's a competence before they allow a driver behind that wheel as far as entry-level drivers.
Thank you very much for what you do. Appreciate it.
We love our transportation folks. I'll say that. Appreciate you all. Appreciate
Any further questions or comments?
I would just like to say, again, thank you for what you do. My mom has drove a school bus for over 25 years now. And I personally drove a school bus to get to college.
Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you. And I remember at one point, there was a shortage of drivers across the state. Is that still the case or not?
Yeah, there's no doubt there's a shortage issue. And let me say this, we work on that on a national level. I mean, it's certainly, the pandemic caused issues. Our driver group is predominantly an older group, age-wise, and many of those may have some underlying health conditions that certainly put them in harm's way during this time. Make them consider, their safety over driving the school bus. I have to commend those that are still driving. And stay positive about that, but it certainly created a huge issue across the state. I talk with some directors and they say we're better than ever. We've got more drivers than ever. So what did you do? Tell us your secret, and then you can go to our larger districts, and they're certainly having to double up and triple up routes. And that to us causes safety issues when there's not that daily. Times are changed and drivers are changed, and all of that kind of stuff creates safety issues. So we're trying to get back to normal. I will say this, and I mention it occasionally. I received an article about the first year in this position back in 16 or 17 as I took over. One of our local directors down in Fayette County sent me an article. She said, one of my drivers who's been driving for 30 or 40 years, her parents drove a bus. Her parents recently had passed. She was kind of telling me about that. And she said they were cleaning out their parents' house, and they ran across this article. And it was a copy of an article from a newspaper. And it was about a school bus driver shortages in 1938 or 1941. And I've still got it somewhere. I'll have it around the room. But it's not a new issue, but it's an ongoing issue for us to recruit and retain drivers. So we continue to work and try to help as we have 3 or 8. I offer, but I don't need to be in the school. Still have my license as well.
Any other questions or comments?
We were having a sidebar about the question. So your group here goes to the different districts and trains through the curriculum then, and then do you go back and recheck that everything is?
Yeah, we have a system in place to monitor that. So we do on-sites and things like that.
Yeah.
That's we have 3 guys, 3 people out there right now. They have to be doing it right now.
Great, thank you.
It's tremendous. Now we train, and just to be clear on that, we train the trainer. There's groups right now. We're limiting to about 20 individuals because of the pandemic, and we canceled our September training class because of the pandemic. And you know, not wanting to bring people close, you know, we.
So you
not
bring them
sit
here
there
to train
all
the
the
trainer?
Yeah, we bring them into different locations strategically across the state. Trying to be creative as possible. We even trained some virtually. We had a training class last January to a virtual. It just was not as, it had to extend it, had to work. We limited it 4 or 5 to kind of try it. And they were great students. They were great. We found they were going to be great trainers. It was a difficult process to do it through a virtual day. So we do a 2-day training in person and a 3rd day virtual. Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you all.
One of the most
All right,
important
thank
things.
you very much.
Again, like I said, again, thank you, Mr. Schofield, for the work. Of course, you know, he talked about it, the newspaper clip. And I used to know somebody years ago down in Irwin County that it was actually a student who drove the school bus. And so he would drive his peers to class. Of course, that's been years ago. I'm not recommending that we have, you know, any seniors or juniors get on and control the bus, but
We'd have a lot of options.
yeah, we'd have a lot of options, we would. But days have changed a little bit, and even, you know, what buses used to look like were a little different, but, you know, the story. But that is my report, Mr. Chair, so I.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Superintendent Woods. Move to the chair's report, and it's actually rather simple. This is regarding the upcoming State Board of Education retreat, which will be in Jekyll Island. Thank you very much, Mr. Long, for your coordination there. The agenda will be forthcoming. Expect that in a couple of days. And then in addition to that, also the room block information. Stay tuned. With that, that concludes our committee of the whole, unless there's any other business to come before the board. Okay. Yes. Okay. All right, perfect. And then with that, we're now going to move to the approval of the agenda. So you each have a copy of the agenda in front of you. Mr. Downey, I don't know if he has an electronic copy. All right. Mr. Mason, are you online? All right, and then Mr. Downey, you're still online?
Yes.
Hello, Kenneth. Good to hear your voice. Yours as well, Jason.
Just Kenneth.
All right, and then Kenneth and Jason, the agenda is being forwarded to you momentarily. So for the members that are present here, does anybody have any questions or comments relative to the agenda? Okay. I'll call for a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
I have a first from Mr. Johnson and a second from Ms. Kinnemore. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the agenda approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Kenneth and Mr. Downey, how do you vote? Kenneth?
Yes.
So the vote carries, it's unanimous. And then the next thing is there any, we'll go to the consent agenda. Are there any items, does any board member wish to remove from the consent agenda? Or are there any items that you wish to add to the consent agenda? All right, hearing none, entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
First from Mr. Donaldson.
Second.
I have a second from Dr. DeJarnett. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor of the approval of the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Mr. Downey, Mr. Mason, how do you vote? All right, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Now we have the budget committee items. There are no items for a separate vote. There are no rules items for a separate vote. Ms. Kinnemore, I'll turn this over to you for an individual legal case.
I recommend that the State Board of Education reverse the decision of the local board in case number 2022-01.
That is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, I have a second from Mr. Donaldson. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approval of this item, the individual legal case 2022-01, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Downey, Mr. Mason, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right, that motion carries unanimously. That concludes the action items for our agenda. Thank you very much, board members. And then before we close out, I'd like to offer opportunities for any board members to make any comments that they wish at this moment in time.
Well, I don't know, Fina and Lisa and I were at the, virtually, at the Deborah White's Glitzy, conference. I think you did both days and we did one day. And the Friday that John presented and talked to teachers, and his biggest word there was clarity.
Yeah.
Everything should be clear and concise in how you teach different skill sets. He had a great delivery. He was funny. He was engaging. His music was wonderful when he'd go to breaks and have people work. Were you there? Who else went? I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to leave that out. I just knew who we had talked to, who was virtually. And Fina, comment. You want to comment too, because Fina, you thought it was.
Oh, I just thought it was great. It was, like I said, the speakers were great. Everybody seemed excited. I think probably excited to be there, just in general. But I think the speakers were great. There was a lot of upbeat to what was going on.
And you were there in person, so you can.
Well, GASES conferences have always been very well attended, and it's one of the largest organizations under the Gale umbrella, and they do a wonderful job of working with teachers and district leaders. And just as a note, Dr. White, Deborah White, has announced that she's going to be retiring at the end of this year, and she's the only executive director that organization's ever had. I know she's been a great resource to this board and this department. She's served on a lot of committees, a lot of curriculum development committees, and she's also been a great friend to me personally and professionally. And I just want to say congratulations and thanks to Deborah White. She's going to be with us the rest of the year, so maybe this is a little premature. Maybe they can change her mind and get her to stay on a little while longer. But just that note, I have great appreciation and respect for Deborah and the work she's done.
Mr. Long.
Just a reminder, matter of fact, I think some of y'all, it just popped up in my email that the Bootstrap RISA is coming up, and Josh from GSSA just sent us an invitation to all of us. There's also, I think I talked to Mandy, there's a golf tournament the day before, the 19th. Those of you who have not, like I said, I saw the light several years ago. If you can make the Bootstrap conference, it's a good interaction with the RISA folks, and it's a good way to get the true vibe of what's happening out there. So just want to make sure I mention that.
And I think Dr. Vera mentioned it yesterday too.
Yes.
And also, Gail has sent out their flyer for November. So did we hit everybody that we got flyers from that?
Checks in the mail?
Checks, all the checks. Yours is November.
Well, we're opening registration in November, ma'am.
Okay.
It will be January 23rd, 25th.
Okay.
Winter deal.
January 23rd, he said, they're opening registration in November.
The opening registration in November and the conference is in January.
That's right.
More information to follow.
Yep.
All right, Mr. Donaldson.
Ms. Rice and I will be representing the State Board of Education next week in our economics personal finance review session. So I welcome any comments from the board. I'm excited, I'm a banker by day, so I think it's something we really need to do. So if y'all have any comments, I'd be glad to hear them for next week. And I know Miss Helen would love to hear them too. So
What day and where is that?
it's Thursday,
What time? Where?
10 to 2.
And location?
Here.
It's here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Stan.
And Matt, this, what we're meeting to do is to look at economics, right?
The economics course.
Yeah, we're not, okay, the two separate items that were on the board item last week, we're not addressing the other part. We're looking at the economics class that has personal finance within it.
For shore up the personal finance.
Okay.
components of the economics.
So that anyone on this board that has ideas about that, and the meeting is here from 10 to 12.
10 to 2.
I'm at 10 to 2. I'm short circuited today. I've been in that traffic. I'm like, Stan, gosh.
I got a text message from Butch Mosley this morning, and he wanted to know, wanted everybody here to know that he is being here. He's back in the hospital. He says it's not serious. I don't know what that means. I'm gonna tend to give him a call, but please keep Butch in your prayers.
Right.
And just want to congratulate again CTAE program and the great work they do. For me personally, that was perfect for me this morning. It helped get me focused. Traffic was bad on the phone with work the whole way here, just trying to juggle, and that got me refocused on back to why we're here and what we need to be concentrating on. That was great because one of our CTAE's graduation rates are incredible. But it's because those kids have something they want to do. They see the purpose is what they chose. One of our former CTAE standouts, Courtney, drawing a blank on her last name, welding. She was our welding champion. She's going to be participating. It was just announced there's going to be a TV show, reality TV show, imagine that, but on welding, and she got chose to participate. It's going to start filming in Texas here for TV, and she's going to be representing Georgia. Again, she's one of our great CTA teachers on that, and just a small personal privilege I started thinking about while I was here too. When I started on this board, I had 2 in Gwinnett County schools and 1 on deck, one that wasn't even in school yet. And just, we're very blessed. I got 2 of those are now college graduates and working, and the youngest one is turning 16 today and is at Archer High School, and it has what that school has for her, just the opportunities for her to grow and flourish, and the pathway that she's in right now. She's in a pathway, and it's she's doing incredible. But just that work and just reflection on so many people out here and so many folks have done so much to get us where we are today. And I was thinking about Pat when he was talking about school bus safety 10 years ago. Well, I remember that. I remember those discussions and the legislation and everything. So it's just a humbling moment, and it's been great to be part of it. And I appreciate all of y'all around here at the table, and just prayers for those who need it. And let's go do it. Get it done.
Any other questions or comments? I want to dovetail off of what Mike just offered. I had an opportunity to attend an event at the Cobb Chamber of Commerce, and it was they had Rod McLean, who leads Marietta Lockheed operations, and also a gentleman, his name escapes me right now, I'm sorry, but it was from the Georgia Research and Design Institute. And they were just it was an amazing presentation, but one of the things they each stressed was the incredible importance of STEM education and CTAE. They said that they cannot find enough engineers today, and that the pipeline is woefully short. We go through that with teachers, but that's applicable in so many different industries, and CTAE programs provide a remarkable opportunity, and with the pathways that we have for engineering and STEM type education. So very, very grateful for that, and for everyone else for what they do in education. So
I would be in trouble. My son-in-law, I have 3 daughters, God's got a sense of humor, but my son-in-law finishes his CTAE certification in welding. His last class is Monday, and he will be coming out of Lanier Tech with 7 welding certifications. So that's that, and he chose that. So that's just we're doing some really good things. We see a lot of the bad. We see it, but there are so many, and we have to concentrate on that so many times. There's so many good things and opportunities for kids out there that we need to celebrate.
Just a shout out to my RISA director, Shannon Downs, for coming, and glad you're here, and come back. I hope you come back.
Just probably gonna.
We'll be sure to get your name right next time.
Yeah. It was my handwriting.
We got.
might have been my vision, you know.
This is a totally changing subject, but it hit my mind. I met with I guess his buddy was on the call. We had a bunch of superintendents on the call with that at Skippers, and some of the questions came up about the CARES money again. I know there's one of the guys said, it was a pretty funny one. He said, what we need is a hold harmless agreement that says, okay, we did this, we that. Do we have any more updates on how we're getting clarity as far as expenditures? Are we having any more I'm surprised that nobody else is having the same issues, but I mean, there's still kind of, some places are scared to spend the money because of the ramifications behind it. Is there any more clarification that you got? I'm not putting you on the spot, I'm just saying maybe next time we can talk about it, or, because I like what they were saying. I mean, you can tell us this now, but if the rules change, we've already done it. Don't hold us accountable for something that we thought about. So I just want to make sure that subject doesn't get lost somewhere, because we really got to make sure that we don't set our districts up for some type of, what is the word that we ever use nowadays so much? Unintended consequences. So anyway.
That would be a 2-day meeting,
Yeah.
at least.
Well, again, I think it's just something that needs to be brought to the forefront because of what they're going through right now. And I just want to make sure that I realize that the feds are involved, and there's a lot of things that go wrong there. But I just want to put it out there for us, make sure we're staying on top of keep these guys with a little blanket of security around them, making sure they don't feel like they're going to be left out there.
Yeah, well, again, I know Mr. Cardoza, is kind of handling it out. We just had the release of our dashboard. Was that we'll be doing a presentation at Bootstrap, concerning this. Of course, the thing you're looking at, you're talking about 3 different, waves of federal input. So I think there are different, guidelines under each. This last one probably was a little more constrictive as far as what and how the money had to be spent. So, we continue to look at that. And of course, all our districts are welcome to reach out. If you have any questions, I'd say ask. And, we can find out the information Mr. Cardozo does a great job with that. We're expanding that team in that area as well, with some of the hires to help kind of guideline that. So we'll be ramping up our service with that. But definitely we can do some things.
And you are doing a presentation in RISA, at the
Bootstrap, yes.
Very good,
Yeah.
that'll be good.
Yeah, that'll be one of the things we do. Again, the dashboard, as we talked about with the ESSER fund. So there's a lot of things moving, but it's just that you got 3 different buckets of money that require, guidelines and guidance is a little bit different for each.
All right, thank you guys over there, appreciate it.
If you haven't had a chance, Megan sent out a press release about the dashboard, and it kind of tells that. And is it open today?
It should be, I think, is that correct, Matt? The dashboard, everything's live now?
So we could go in and look at it and get, okay,
It's good
yeah. The money man's looked at it
already.
Ms. Petty?
Yes, for Matt and Superintendent Woods, want to ask for a little grace and because most of my school systems can't give me an ELA name right now for our.
Absolutely.
So we're, I got principals that are driving buses, superintendents that are serving lunch, superintendents that are doing pre-K pickup lines where kids go by nicknames and not, so I don't have my names yet. And I know probably many others do not have their names yet, but if we could just have some extra time.
DOE police, so they come
Well, I said mine, as most systems,
so far, and that there's additional will accommodate.
Yeah.
And the same with the economics review group that we're putting together next week for Thursday. I know several of y'all have recommended names, but there's some additional names. Feel free to send that along. We just ask for advance so we can make sure they get the notice so they can make accommodations to be there in person. So
you got my name for
absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Matt, excuse me, thank you for that agreement, because when I wrote to my RISAs, my Board of Control, and I told them I knew that this was a hard time and for an ask, and but I wanted to make sure when the time came that those teachers were there. And I will tell you that when I go back and if they're not listening now and say that we've got a grace, they will be grateful, because their comment to me was, I get to school and I look at staffing. How many teachers are out, whatever, how many I need to replace, and as Finna said, the numbers are large and there are no substitutes, so everybody's doing other things. Then they said, I look at my COVID numbers, and then I look at what do we need to do today, and what do we need to do tomorrow, and that's as far as I can go. So that, thank you for that extension. They'll be glad to hear that we're not moving forward. So we're not doing any training right now with that or anything. We're just waiting, giving us some time to get collectively to get the working group pulled together.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what about on the math side too? Are we still in a little grace as we talked about from the
Yeah, I
last?
think we sent out that updated timeline to the
Yeah,
board.
I saw
And that's
that.
been communicated to curriculum directors, and we shared that at the GACES conference as well, with
But-
all the curriculum directors in the room.
Okay, but it still had a little ask of some training coming up as they're working on now.
It's just instructional resources, so we're developing
Yeah.
resources so that they'll be prepared when the training starts for the next school year. So
But are
we-
you asking teachers to come out and help develop the resources, or are you developing some?
We're doing a lot in-house. We work with teachers, but those are the ones that reach out for us. We're not being intrusive in that, but we do have some all-star teachers. We work with our resources and math mentors.
Okay, well, they would appreciate the same thing too. Thank you. Uh-huh.
All right. Jason or Kenneth, if you're still online, do you have any questions or comments?
Joe, Mr. All, I have some emails on early childhood education and from GFPE that I'll send by email.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Downey, if you're still there, any questions or comments?
No, sir.
All right, well, thank you very much. That concludes the business of the day. I appreciate everyone being here, and with that, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a first from Mr. Johnson, a second from Mr. Donaldson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.